Hey guys, today I have my husband sharing his tasty barbecue sauce recipe. He is also canning this batch so that you can see that process as well. Hope you enjoy it.
Okay, let's make some barbecue sauce, some homemade barbecue sauce. All barbecue sauces start with a base of ketchup, and generally I start with 2 or 3 cups. So I'm making quite a lot of barbecue sauce today because I want to actually can a little bit of it. So I'm going to put in about maybe 2.5, 3 cups, maybe a little more. All right, so it's quite a lot of barbecue sauce. It's about 30, 40 ounces of ketchup to start with. Now, as a result, I'm going to put mustard, the next ingredient. I am going to put usually about that much, but I'm going to double, triple that. All right, a little bit of mustard. Normally I used to say that this recipe came from somebody else, but really I made this recipe up by just understanding how to make barbecue sauce, watching other folks do it over the years. Now, the apple cider vinegar, I don't like to add a lot at first because you really just can't take it away. So I just added about, third, quarter cup. All right, now, so we've got ketchup, mustard, and we've got apple cider vinegar. Now we're going to add quite a bit of sugar. That is the actual ingredient that is going to make the sweetness. So the mustard, the apple cider vinegar is going to give it that tang. The ketchup is the base, but the brown sugar, dark brown sugar, that's what we're using. This is going to actually give it that sweetness. I'm going to put in about half a pound to start with. All this can be adjusted, so as we actually heat it up and cook it up. So that's what I'm going to start with. Now, since we live in Southeast Texas, we are going to put in some of this TexJoy barbecue seasoning rub. Create a little harmony. I use this in a lot of dishes, and so I'm just going to season it to taste. That's at least 1.5 tablespoons. Now, I like a little spice, so barbecue sauce has to have tomato, tang, sweetness, but it also needs to have heat. And I like to produce my heat from 2 sources. One is some jalapeno. So this is a little bit of ground jalapeno. That's about 1 tablespoon. We'll start with that. Now, red pepper, a little bit stronger. So I'm just gonna put, about 1/4 teaspoon to start with. And TexJoy, this is really more of a salty. So we want to get a little salty element to our barbecue sauce as well. And so now for the last elements, we are gonna go with some thyme, some coriander, and also a little bit of garlic powder. So that gives you some of those good herbal notes in your barbecue sauce that you need as well. I'm not gonna put a lot of thyme, I'm gonna put a little bit. And we're gonna put a good amount of coriander. I like coriander, Jamaican flavor. All right, think of jerk barbecue. Now, we'll get a little garlic powder in there. I don't go crazy with that. Light dusting, maybe 1/8 tablespoon. And of course, salt and pepper. It's giving us that salty note that we need. I'm not gonna put a lot at first, as I need to stir it up with a wooden spoon. And then we're gonna put it on the stove, and we are going to actually cook this down. So let me stir this up and you'll start to see what color. Now I got all this brown sugar. So it's cold right now. And so as I stir this up, I see it's just a little bit too red. That gives me a hint that I may need to add a little more brown sugar than that. But I'm not gonna guess. I'm gonna go ahead and let it heat up and cook. And when it's done cooking, I'll let it simmer. I really bring it up to kind of a simmer, a rapid simmer, and then I turn it down, way down, and I let it simmer. All I'm letting it do is really kind of cook and caramelize some of that sugar. And it's gonna make this thing come together. You can taste it here, but we're gonna put it on the stove right now. So that's it. That's it for the initial step. All right, so now we got it on the stove. We're gonna put it up a little bit higher right now. So maybe like medium heat until we get a simmer. It's gonna take 5 or 10 minutes, this amount of barbecue sauce to really get it up to where you start to see it bubbling. That's what you wanna see. Now, once it starts bubbling, you need to turn that heat down quickly because this thing can really make a mess on your stove. But I'm gonna give it a little taste right now, even though it hasn't really cooked well, but just a little taste. Let's just see if we're close. I'm testing for a little saltiness, sweetness, tanginess. And so right now I can tell you, I feel like I need to add just a little more apple cider vinegar. I need a little more tang. So let's add a little more apple cider vinegar. It's definitely sweet enough. So there we go. We'll add another 3 or 4 tablespoons. So not very much at a time. You can really overpower the sauce with the apple cider vinegar. You can go too far with that in a hurry. So you want to add just a little bit at a time. And it's kind of an emulsification. So you see how that liquid's up on top? Have to stir this up quite a bit to incorporate that apple cider vinegar. And we don't want to stir it rapidly because it will actually break the sauce. So we wanted to slowly stir this until we incorporate that apple cider vinegar in to our sauce. All right. And once it starts boiling, coming to that slow simmer, that'll help all this process as well. It's a little bit too tomatoey, so we'll see. We may need a little more heat as well. All right, so we're definitely a little more tangy. We've got that tangy taste that barbecue sauce needs. I'm still tasting quite a bit of the tomatoey, so we're gonna add some more spice. So we're gonna add some more red pepper. It's a little more powerful than the jalapeno. So this time I'm gonna add probably, ooh, not that much food. All right, we're gonna add probably about, that's about 1/4 of a teaspoon. So we can always add a little more. So now that we've got it a little closer, probably to where it needs to be, we're gonna let this come to a simmer, and then we'll taste it again once we let this flavors incorporate. But at least we know we're close. Okay, so now you can see this sauce will start to really undulate and produce bubbles pretty quick, 4 or 5 minutes on medium, and you'll see that it starts to come together. So what we want to do is kind of stir it, keep stirring it for about 3 or 4 minutes on this medium heat. And you may want to turn it down, put the lid on it. We want to go to a low simmer and let this cook for about 20-30 minutes, and then we're going to taste it again. Okay, it's been about 5 or 10 minutes, and this thing is simmered, and it's looking really good. The color's changed just a little bit, and the consistency coats the back of a spoon. It's really good. So the real reason for making barbecue sauce is, one, you can make it your own. You can make it how you want. You can make it tangier by adding more vinegar. You can make it hotter by adding more pepper. You can add more mustard and more herbs. So anyway, this is how I like my barbecue sauce. We've done a little taste test. It's perfect. So now I'm gonna bottle this up and I'm gonna use a little bit for today, but I'll have it for the next couple of barbecues as well. I'm gonna put it up in some mason jars. So these jars, we're just sterilizing these mason jars by boiling them. Once they're sterilized and we got all the lids and rings, we fill them up with sauce. I think the ball book says a 1/4 inch headspace, and then we'll actually process those. We'll put them back in this boiling water for 20 minutes, and that should actually preserve it. And then we can let them cool off fully and put them on the shelf. See how much we get out of this thing. Here's the second pint. I'm thinking 2.5 or something. We'll at least get 2 full jars of barbecue sauce. Now we'll put the 2-part rings on and we'll put it back in the hot water. We'll bring it up to a boil. It's always a good idea to wipe the rim of your jars. Okay, our jars are boiling. They've been boiling for about 4 or 5 minutes. We set the timer for 20 minutes, so we're gonna let those things boil in there. And then when they're done, we'll take them out and cool them. They'll be good. They'll have a really good shelf life for a good 3-4 months, just sitting in our pantry. All right, 20 minutes is up. These are ready. Still boiling in there, but it's nice to have these tongs. Look at that, pretty barbecue sauce coming out. So processing them in hot water like that, boiling them for 20 minutes with these mason jars actually sterilizes the jars and the barbecue sauce. So that way you can keep them on the shelf. You can let them cool, keep them on the shelf for a long time. Here in a minute, we'll hear the lids pop and they'll lock in place, and that'll be it. So as always, like, subscribe,